Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're going to be taking a look at Rebirth. This is a new game from Reiner Knizia, published by Mighty Boards. It is good for 2 to 4 players, takes about an hour or so to play, and it's got a little bit of tile placement in there. It's got a little bit of area control in there as well. You're also trying to complete objectives. Whoever has the most points is the winner. Let's get down to the table and take a look, shall we? So as we're taking a look at Rebirth here, just realize that there are 2 different modes of the game. This Scotland side of the board is for the basic game. If you flip the board over, we'll show it to you later, you'll see an Ireland map, and that's for advanced play, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. What you're going to do on your turn is you're going to take one tile from the bag and place it out onto the board somewhere. Settlement tiles look like this and have a little house on them. Farm tiles have the little leafy symbols on them, and then the lightning bolts are energy tiles. When you draw a settlement tile, you can only place them in areas where settlements can be placed. There are basically 3 different sizes of settlements. There are small settlements, which are just a singular space. There are medium-sized, which have 2 spaces in them. And then there are large ones, which have 3, and then on the other side of the board there are some settlements that have 4 areas, and they're called sprawling settlements. But those are the areas that you can put these settlement tokens in. Ones that have the leaf symbols are farm tokens, and they can be placed in areas that have that same symbol, or they can be also placed in an area that doesn't have any symbol at all. And the same thing is true for the energy tokens that are here as well. So energy tokens can go in a place that has a lightning bolt or a place that doesn't have any space at all. So if you're putting out an energy tile and you place one next to it, then you're going to score 2 points for that cluster. Now, if later on you put out a farm tile right here, that cluster is only 1 tile. Farm and energy tokens don't add to those clusters, but if you place another one out here like this, now you have 2 points for that cluster. Now you would have 3 points for that cluster, and so forth and so on. When you're placing out a settlement token, you're not going to score points immediately unless it is a small settlement. When you place out a settlement tile on a small settlement like this, it will immediately score because you have completed it. If I put a settlement icon in here, it is a small settlement and it has a +1, so it will give me +1 immediately, and then since I've completed it, it's also going to score me 5 points altogether because I have 4 + 1, so that's 5 points. Let's say that I just placed this out here to begin with, and that opened up this thing. Let's say later on the red player comes in here and places one of theirs. We are now tied for the amount of influence we have in this settlement. In this particular case, whoever finished it, the tie is broken against that person. So basically the person who's been there the longest is going to have that thing if they are one of the ones that's tied. But in this particular case, orange would be in first place and red would be in second place. So orange, having already scored 1 point, it was going to score another 5 points, and then red will score 3 points, if this were the case. If a person completes a large settlement all on their own, they will score all of these points, all 13 points. Same thing is true for a medium-sized settlement. They'll score 8 points. But in a large one, if it's something to the effect of this, then in this particular case, since blue was the one that finished it, they are tied with me, and so I was here first. This tie will be broken. I will have the most. They will get second most, and then red will get no points there. So 8, 5, and 0. Now, as you're placing these tokens out here, sometimes you're going to be adjacent to castles, and other times you're going to be adjacent to cathedrals. Now, these two enter into 2 different aspects of the game. So whenever you place next to a castle, you're going to, if you're the first person there, you're going to place one of your castles out onto the board. And that will be a castle that you control until somebody has placed more tiles around this than you have out there. So you have to have more tiles around the castle in order to take over control of it. But castles are worth 5 points at the end of the game for you. Also, whenever you place next to a cathedral, on the basic side of the board, you're going to place one of your cathedral markers out here, and that allows you to draw one of these objective cards, which are going to be different kinds of cards that will score you points at the end of the game, but they are private. You don't have to flip them over and show everybody what you're doing on the basic side of the game. You can only place one of your cathedrals on each of the cathedral spaces. There's 8 cathedral spaces out there. You only have 8 cathedrals, and you can only place 1 cathedral on each space. Now, the game will continue to go until everybody has placed all of the pieces that are in their bag out onto the board, and then you'll go into end game scoring. Now, end game scoring is where you will first of all look at if there are any incomplete settlements. Those people that have tokens on those incomplete settlements will score 1 point for every influence icon they have in that settlement. So incomplete settlements will score, as I mentioned earlier, you'll get 5 points for every castle that you score, and then you'll score points for all of the goal cards that you were able to achieve during the course of the game. Whoever has the most points is the winner. Now, on the Ireland side of the game, this represents the advanced mode, and the way you play the game from turn to turn is exactly the same as in the basic mode, except instead of having a bunch of private objectives in your hand, you have exactly 8 public objectives that are displayed along the side of the board, and everybody can see them for the entirety of the game. The first person to accomplish them will score 8 points. Everybody else after that will score 5 points for each of these. And there is a deck of 12 cards. So there will be 4 that will be able to be received as a private objective. So generally speaking, you'll have 1 private objective and 8 public objectives throughout the course of the game. The other difference are the cathedrals are basically only used to mark which of these objectives that you have accomplished. That's what your cathedral tokens are used for. The different spaces out here that kind of take the place of the cathedrals are tower spots. Exactly the first time that you place, not any time after that, next to one of these tower tokens, you'll be able to fire off that special ability. So this one right here, you just score an additional, you just score 3 points. If you place a tile next to this tower. And again, it's only the first time that you place next to one of these towers, not every time. This one allows you to take your doubler token and place it next to one of the public objectives, and when you accomplish that in whatever order you are, whether it's the first or the second and following, you'll be able to score twice as many points than everybody else did for that. This one right here allows you, instead of drawing just 1 tile at the end of your turn, you'll be able to draw 3 and choose which one you're going to play on your next turn. This one allows you to just put out an additional tile the turn that you place next to it. There are 3 13s out there. So whenever you have the moment that you have 1 tile next to all 3 of those, you score an immediate 13 points. This one allows you to draw an additional objective card, which gives you the ability to have private objectives in this game. Now, some of the different objectives that are going to be out there are going to be things like occupy at least 1 space in 3 large settlements. So, as you can see out here, there is that sprawling settlement here that has 4 spaces in it. That is considered a large settlement. And then there's also the large settlement down here. And then there's also the large settlement up here. So in order to accomplish that goal, you're going to have 1 settlement token here, 1 settlement token here, and 1 settlement token here in order to do that. So that kind of gives you that. Now this one says occupy 4 contiguous coastline spaces. So that means that you have to occupy 4 contiguous coastline spaces, there's only certain parts of the board where you can do that. Like you wouldn't be able to do it right here because that tower is right in the middle of the way. You wouldn't be able to do it here because that tower is in the way. You wouldn't be able to do it here because that castle is in the way. So that's the kind of objectives that you're really looking for. This one is have 2 clusters of energy farms containing 3 or more tiles each. So that's the idea that you're talking about. Occupy 4 spaces adjacent to 1 castle. So that means that 1 castle has 1, 2, 3, 4 of your tiles next to it, which means that you're going to have to go after that. You might not, if somebody does it here, you're not going to be able to do it there. You have to do it somewhere else. This one, occupy all spaces in 2 medium settlements. So that means you've got both of these and you've got both of these. Or both of these and so forth and so on. This one, occupy contiguous spaces that link 4 castles. Now, this is kind of a interesting thing because the southern part of the map is really heavy with castles. So this is probably where it's going to be the easiest to get those things linked. But that basically just means that you have to link, like if you have these 3 right here, that's got 1, 2, 3 castles linked. But you would have to go here in order to get that 4th. Or from here, you wouldn't be able to hop over here and go here. You would have to go here, and here, so that you have all of those things linked. So this is a little bit of a tricky one. There's also the same kind of idea, but you're linking 4 towers. And the northern part of the map might be a little bit easier for that to be accomplished, but it's the same concept just with these towers, not the castles. Then you also have occupy at least 1 space in 4 medium settlements. So it's kind of like that other one, but you only have to have 1 space, but it's in 4 different settlements. And then there are also 4 other ones that won't be public. These are for private tokens, which are basically where you're going to be. If you come next to one of these tiles here, you'll be able to draw one of these. Of course, they'll be shuffled and you'll just top deck the first one. But each player is able to do that because if you go next to this one again, that special ability won't fire off. So there's 1 card for each player in the game to have a private objective in addition to scoring all of these. And again, the game will end when everybody has placed all of their tokens. Whoever has the most points is the winner. Let's get to my final thoughts. Now, as I said, there are 2 modes to play here. There's a basic mode and then there's an advanced mode. And I was able to play both of them a lot. Not incredibly a lot. I think I played the game 6 times altogether. And 3 of those were basic and 3 of those were for the advanced about. Maybe I only played 2 advanced. I can't remember exactly, but I did get a lot of plays of this in after it came in just before the cruise. I think my favorite way to play the game is with the basic mode where you have those private objectives. You're able to draw private objective cards whenever you place next to a cathedral, and it's kind of kept secret what you're trying to do. I like that mode a little bit better than the advanced mode where you have 8 public objectives out. You have the opportunity to get 1 private objective. I just think that mode is a little bit more tough to play, which is why it's the advanced mode. I get that, but I just don't think it's as enjoyable. And that'll be fleshed out in my pros and cons section a little bit more. But generally speaking, I do enjoy both modes of play. I just think I like the basic version a little bit better. It's a little bit more of a chill experience. It's definitely not as stressful. And I think it has a little bit less of the opportunity for somebody to really run away with a win as you're talking about that. But we'll talk about it more as we're going through pros and cons. But generally speaking, I liked a lot of different things about this. So let's get to my pros and cons. My first pro of the game is going to be the component quality. I did enjoy, although they used different sources of materials, I guess you could say, for their components, it turned out really, really well. with a couple of exceptions, but I did take this on a cruise. And it has a few dings in it that I wish hadn't happened, but I'm just going to ascribe that to the fact that I took this on a trip right after I got it, and things just happen. So I'm not going to think that any of those things are because the components were of a different quality than most other games, although they are, but I'm just not going to ascribe it because I think that might be more my fault than the game's fault. The components are really nice. Now, I do have the limited edition of the game, so there are some differences, but all of these pieces and the castle pieces are really, really nice. They're made out of these, what is called Rewood components. So it is FSC certified cardboard in the board, and then these components are recycled wood, I believe. So that's actually a pretty cool thing, and they are not degraded in quality at all. You know, sometimes when you use materials that are more eco-friendly, there's a noticeable downgrade in quality, but that's not true here, and that's why this is a pro. I really like the fact that they used eco-friendly materials, and I can't really tell the difference in quality. So this is a huge plus in my opinion, because I like the fact that it's eco-friendly. I also like the fact that I didn't have to sacrifice quality in order to be eco-friendly. So kudos to Mighty Boards for pulling this off where other people have failed in the past, in my opinion at least. But I really did enjoy these components. I thought the molds of the castles were really nice. The cathedrals stack really securely on top of each other, and the cardboard is really chunky, thick, durable cardboard. I did have one piece that was blue that was kind of misshapen and miscut wrong, but that's just going to happen within production. I'm not going to count that as a strike against the component quality. It's really good, and I enjoyed it a lot. My second pro is going to be gameplay. I really did enjoy specifically the basic version of the game. I really enjoy private objectives. I think they're a great way to give the player things to shoot for, and also have it be kept secret from everybody else to cut down on the take that nature of having to achieve objectives in order to score points. With the private objectives, nobody really ever completely knows what you're going for. I also like, as we're talking about gameplay, the fact that you draw your token at the end of your turn rather than at the beginning of your turn. I think that's very important to keep the game moving along at a pretty good clip, because as you have your token in your hand, you're able to think and prepare for where you want to put that on your next turn. Now, with that being said, turns go really fast here, so you don't have a whole lot of time, but you do have some time. And this is actually a house rule that we used to use in Carcassonne that over time got made into an actual rule of Carcassonne, I believe, where you draw your Carcassonne tile at the end of your turn so that you can look and kind of determine where you're going to play it. It really speeds up the game. And on the basic side of the game, this game moves. Very fast turns, and I enjoy that a lot because it takes what could be a very analytical, almost a paralyzingly analytical game, and turns it on its head and makes it a very quick, fast, kind of tactical game, and I really enjoy that a lot about the gameplay. On the basic side, we'll talk about the advanced side in just a little bit. Another pro for the game for me was a very clear rule book. Now, that doesn't mean that I got everything right on the first game that I played. I actually did have, more than a couple of times, some help from Sebastian and Joel. Thank you very much, Sebastian and Joel, for helping me out with the interpretation of the rules, noticing those words that I kind of glossed over as I read through the rules and tried to interpret them. But that is a me problem. That is not a rule book problem. The rules of this game are very well written, and they're very specifically written. So my only caveat would be, make sure you're reading the rules in their entirety and not taking how you remember this game goes and applying it to how you just read whatever that says. There's a difference there. My main point here is that the rule book is written very well. Thank you to Sebastian and Joel for allowing me to realize that as we were playing a couple of games with them. I really did enjoy it, and I want to say thank you to that. But the rule book is very well done on both sides, be it the basic rule set and the advanced rule set. It's short, concise, and easy to understand, unless you're somebody like me that tries to read something that just simply isn't there. Gameplay is very simple to teach. I think I could probably, as we're sitting down, videos is always a little bit different, but as we're sitting down, I can absolutely feel confident that I can get somebody to understand how to play this game within about 6-7 minutes. And then, of course, with questions and all that kind of stuff, probably around 10, which is what I try to shoot for, generally speaking. And this one is not difficult. It's simple in that you have a token, you need to place it on the board. There's only certain places where you can place those tokens. So the decision space is not as convoluted as it might seem with all of the different spots that are on the board. Each token that you're going to draw can only go in a certain number of spaces on the board, and so that narrows your field of decision making that's required. I really do enjoy that. And that's easy for me, at least, to teach. And I think that's a great thing. I love games that I can lay it out and teach it in a fairly short time, because we can jump right into playing and we don't have to have this lecture of how things are supposed to work. My last pro is going to be the fact that this is a very pretty game. I loved not just the artwork, but I also enjoyed the graphic design. I enjoyed how stark all of the different places on the map were. I even enjoyed the graphic design of the score track around the outside of the board. It carries with it a very traditional or classic feel. Think Ticket to Ride or something to that effect, or those those OG games that have that score track around the outside, and they put a little bit of extra oomph into the graphic design. It wasn't just numbers and squares. I really did enjoy everything about how this game looks, from the colors that they used for the player colors to how vibrant the board was, how well the artwork looked, and how seamlessly the graphic design of everything worked together. So I really did think that the art and graphic design was very well done here, and that's my final pro. Overall, I'm going to have a positive review on this, but there were a couple of nitpicks that I wanted to mention, because it wasn't just me. As I played this with many different people, I did hear kind of the same thing in a number of different plays. The first one being, this has that runaway leader problem to it. And what I mean by that is that if you have 4 people playing a game and 3 of them are in one part of the board battling over the different areas of that board, and one person is just kind of down by themselves, able to place almost without any impunity at all wherever they want, that person is probably going to win, because they're able to do whatever they want, score all the points that they need to do, and nobody can really stop them, because once you notice what's going on, it's almost too late. That is one of the things that really kind of rubs people the wrong way. And I kind of mentioned it earlier, but this is one of the things where I think it's really egregious on the advanced side of the board, the Ireland side. On the Scotland board with the private objectives and all of that kind of stuff, it's a little bit harder to know what people are doing, and so everybody's just trying to get what they're trying to go after based on the cards that they've been able to draw by placing their cathedrals. And that seems to lessen the effect of what I'm talking about here. But if you have one person, you almost have to actively stop doing what you're trying to do just to go battle and keep that other person from doing what they're trying to do. And often what that's going to do is that's going to hurt you more than it could possibly hurt them, because they've already got their thing going, and if you block them on one spot, they can probably get around you before you can block somewhere else. So it's just one of those things that really kind of rubbed people the wrong way, so I needed to mention it. So as far as the rating is concerned for me, I'm going to give 2 ratings, one for the basic side and one for the advanced side. I'm not going to give an average of the 2 for the rating because I don't want to lessen the effect of the one that I like the best and raise the one that I really don't like that much in comparison. So my rating of the basic side is going to be an 8. My rating for the advanced side is going to be a 7. And really that one whole point down for me is because of that runaway leader problem, that if you have somebody that is just kind of off doing their own thing without anybody trying to thwart it in any kind of way, they're going to win. There's nothing anybody else can do about it. And by the time the other 3 players kind of catch on to what they're doing, it might be too late. And even if all 3 of them start playing against that person, well, then that offers up other problems that now that person's going to feel picked upon and all of that kind of thing. I just don't like it when games have that vibe to them. So I'm going to rate that 1 down just based on that alone. But the 8, I really do enjoy both. The 8 is really where I think I'm going to be playing this game the most anyway, on the basic side, the Scotland side of the board. And I think that will be just fine. I will probably still play it on the advanced side, just so that people can experience both sides. I don't mind that at all. I did enjoy both, so that's it. I'm really giving this an 8 out of 10, 7 for the advanced side. I didn't like that one as much, but that's it for me. Thanks for joining me. I certainly appreciate you. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.